As you know, as we've talked about, specific learning disorders are persistent. They don't get better, they don't get worse, they're just the same. It's just that the strategies that we can put in place to support individuals make their independence and engagement hopefully improve. However, if you are a poor reader in grade 3 and you're likely to continue being a poor reader in grade 9 and into adulthood. So the general stat is, if you don't learn to read alongside your peers, it'll take you 4 times the resources to actually pick up those skills as at a later time. So in effect, it's 4 times lengthier, 4 times more resourceful to pick up those literacy skills if you don't catch them alongside your peers. The other stat down the bottom is for prisoners, right? Prisoners, this is from a couple of research papers. 80% of prisoners identify as having a learning difference. It's only from a couple of research papers. One was based in Texas and one was based in WA. But it's only a couple of papers because, to be honest, prisons don't worry about their inmates' literacy and numeracy skills. They are there for a different reason. And the only reason, to be honest, I know about the one in WA is because I went to present at Amberley Air Force Base, and one of the men mountain of RAAF fellas was a prison guard when they were researching. What dyslexia is not. Dyslexia is not. It's not poor eyesight and hearing problems. Okay, we can remedy those. We can go to the optician and audiologist, and those are relatively easily fixed. It is not seeing letters or words backwards. So it's now recognized that what it is, individuals are seeing the word as everybody, to be honest, we all see the letters in the same way, but it's the way that it's processed. Right? So in somebody with specific learning disorder, it's the way that those letters are processed inside the brain. And to be honest, by the time, if you're writing it and, by the time the message gets back down to your pen, the letter, you're taking so much time and effort that the letter can be reversed or flipped or whatever, which is the characteristic that we are recognizing. It's not developmental. Stays where it is, right? It doesn't get better, it doesn't get worse, as I said, it just stays where it is from the time you're born until the time you die. It is not acquired alexia, aphasia, or anomia. So those are basically things where you end up with some sort of head injury, usually a stroke, and you, in effect, you lose the ability to read, or you lose the ability to sort of understand the words that you are saying. So aphasia is astonishing. If you have a look on YouTube, if you've got a couple of minutes, you can see interviews with somebody with aphasia, and it sounds like the person is having a conversation, right? The inflection, the pauses, the way that they're structuring their response, it actually sounds like they make sense. The problem is that they've lost the understanding of the words that they are saying. So what their sentences aren't actually making sense, but their prosody, the sounds and the inflections that they're putting into their words, it sounds good. And anomia is you forget the name for something. Forget that a table is called a table and a hat is called a hat. But those are acquired. It's not degenerative. It doesn't get worse. It's not the lack of educational opportunity. If you haven't been taught how to, the literacy and numeracy skills, you can catch up. So that's not dyslexia. That is an academic gap. And the key thing, to be honest, genuinely, the key message is that last one on the left. It is not the result of lack of effort or laziness. Individuals with a specific learning disorder can be spending a lot more energy and effort that you can't see, right? The teacher can't see, their mates can't see, anybody in the classroom can't see, but they can be spending a lot more energy and effort to mimic what's going on, to try and do their absolute best to get the best response that they can, even though that response is not reflective of their intelligence. Which is probably why a lot of people with a specific learning disorder go home at the end of the day and then they're exhausted, because there's a hidden cost. We can't see that energy, we can't see that effort. So it's very, very hidden, right? But when you fly by them in the classroom and you say, "Are you doing okay? Do you want any support?" They'll probably, they could smile and nod and look like they're engaged. It's also not dyslexia is also not any of those things on the right-hand side. Now, if you do a quick Google search for types of dyslexia, you will come across some very good-looking websites, and they will be written by what look like fantastically qualified people, right? So they will say, yeah, we've got primary dyslexia, secondary dyslexia, deep dyslexia, surface dyslexia, attentional dyslexia, letter position, and so on, right? It's not any of those things, right? Dyslexia is a specific learning disorder with impairment in reading, and then it goes back to those things in italics earlier on. So reading accuracy, reading rate, spelling, comprehension, right? These things may be aspects of that which you could describe as, deep dyslexia, or, I should also say it's mild, moderate, or severe, right? So there's a lot of confusing language, right? There are a lot of confusing websites, but basically those are the things that dyslexia is not. What it is the brain's hardwiring. Okay, so what you can see here in the top image, this is a functional MRI. So basically it's like a bomb weather radar. And on the top, you can see, just like the rain radar, if the intensity of the color and the color change shows the frequency of the firing of the neurons. All right. So you can see on the top one, for a neurotypical reader, you can see there the areas that are activated in the brain. Right. In the middle one, which is a dyslexic reader, so a neurodiverse reader, you can see there, look at the difference in the neuronal activity and also in the difference in areas, right? So that's trying to read the same text, but you can see different areas of the brain are firing in different ways, right? So this is not a choice. This is the way that somebody's brain is built, right? It's not something, you can't say, I'm going to activate this part of my brain rather than this part of my brain. It's not a choice that we have. It's an inbuilt, it's hardwired into us.